Hi friend, in this live stream, we are going to learn to play the song Firm Foundation He Won't by Cody Carnes. We are going to cover it in the key of G, but if you would like to play along to the recording of the song by Cody Carnes, you could put a capo on fret 3, and you'll be playing in the key of B flat, so you can play along to either his studio recording or the live recording that he has done of the song. Worship Together also actually just dropped and released, at least on YouTube. I think it's been out on streaming platforms for a while. The version of this song from the Worship Together conference, that is actually in the key of A. So if you wanted to play along the key of A, you could put the capo on 2 if you're in standard tuning, and you'll be playing along to that Worship Together live recording. If you watch the video, just a note, Cody has his capo on 4, but it is actually in the, so normally that would be key of B. It is actually in the key of A, and I believe it's because he probably has his guitar tuned down an entire whole step. So don't be fooled. If you're watching the video, it is still in the key of A. I promise you that. But let's dive in. We are going to first just cover strumming. And so we're going to look at what strumming pattern you need. Now, the song is in 6/8. And so 6/8 in its most basic form would be a strumming pattern like this. And typically how you count 6/8 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's represented by the graphic you see on the screen there, by those numbers at the bottom. And this would be like the most basic form, is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just doing down strums represented by those down arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm kind of accenting 1 and 4, which is pretty typical for 6/8. Now, this strum pattern is actually used in the song, especially when there's kind of intense versions where the drums are really building. This happens when you come back to kind of the top of the song, the chorus 1 and 2. After the turnarounds. And so the Cody, you will actually hear him, he's just strumming away down strums with the drummer, kind of building the intensity of the song. So that's kind of a most basic form. 6/8 as well, you'll see this covered, where this now is basically kind of including your sort of 16th notes with it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So down, up, 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 down. And that's actually, again, used in the song and the recording as well when there's kind of intense versions. Again, the acoustic guitar player, Cody, will just kind of be just grooving along with the drummer and kind of the groove of the song as the intensity builds. And then this is kind of a standard pattern you could use really throughout the song. This will kind of start the top of the song, but it's just a pretty simple pattern. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and. So the only difference there between those two you can see is really we're taking away that and of 1, if you will, and just leaving a little bit of a space, kind of letting the strumming pattern breathe a little bit and going 1, so down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Now, one thing to note though is you don't want to be robotic with this. So I'm going to leave that up on the screen for a second. You don't want to be robotic like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and. This song especially has a lot of swing. So what I mean by that is, take that off the screen for a second, is it's going to swing like this. Now let me demonstrate this with the G chord. So you can overdo it, which I know I have a tendency to do a lot of the times. I love swung patterns or that feel. But again, you don't want to be stiff, like 1, 2. That's going to kill the vibe of the song, right? If you're real stiff, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 2. Think like, don't be a robot, right? But just let it kind of breathe and swing a little bit. So when I say swing, like almost you could kind of like rock your body back and forth. 1. And that's what's going to give this song its great 6/8, kind of a little bit of a swung feel to it. It's going to kind of let you relax into the groove of the song. So with the strumming pattern covered, you could get some finger picking patterns going. I'll come and kind of demonstrate this just with some tips too, especially if you're playing by yourself or leading maybe with a smaller band. The bridge of the song especially, you can bring some kind of unique picking things in where you kind of bring the little hook melody in as well. So we'll get to that when we cover the bridge. But with that, let's cover the chords that we need. Now, this song, you could simplify it, but there are a lot of what are called passing chords throughout the song. So we're going to cover all of them in this because I want you to be able to like play along to the recording. And if you hear kind of all these neat just walk down changes, I want you to be able to play those. Some of them are even somewhat signature to the song. But again, you could always kind of cover the song in its most basic form. And when we go through the sections, I will cover this as well. But first off, let's cover G, the G chord that we need. Now, I am doing kind of an alternate just fingering of this. So normally we would learn a G like this. first learned guitar. Now I've covered this in many videos, but I'm switching the fingering that I'm using to put my pinky on the bottom here. And I'm not gonna cover this super in-depth, like one by one, go string by string in this, because I've covered this in other videos. So I will link those in cards when the stream is finished processing. Usually takes a while, but I'll try and link those as soon as I can. But you're gonna use this G shape, particularly with this fingering. And the reason for that is because you get these really neat suspended chords going on, which again are signature to the song. So you're going to want to use this G suspended shape, which looks like that, and you're going to want to rock back and forth like this. So that's the G shape there to that suspended. And if I kind of rock back and forth there, you'll see what's happening. So again, G shape like this. And then that lets you get this, the pointer finger here, the index finger on the first fret of the B string, second string up from the bottom there, and it gives you that G suspended. And it's pretty signature to the song, as you'll hear in the intro of the song when we get to the song sections. And you can also do some neat, just kind of some neat things with like bringing a little bit of that melody that you hear or the hook that you hear. So for example, things like this. And that's also using this G add 2, which looks like that. So again, that's just placing, you could do it with different fingerings. I'm using the second finger in this case, this middle finger, to get that. What it is the second fret of the G string, so 3 strings up from the bottom, and you get this little melody going on. So again, sorry. Again, you don't have to do that, but it's really nice. Once I play through the intro, I'll kind of demonstrate how that works. It's really nice at the top of the song. So again, G add 2 is just kind of that, if you want to get that melody shape in there. Now I do also go kind of back in different parts of the song and use this G kind of anchor shape in some parts of the song as well. So there's a kind of all different variations of G that you could encounter and use throughout the song. Now we also use an E minor. And again, I'm going to use some different variations of this, but I'm going to use the anchor version like that. Again, covered that in many videos. I'm not going to cover that in depth here, but then I'll also use this version, a little bit more simplified, basically just lifting, instead of anchoring there, I'm kind of moving the pinky up and just leaving this top note open like that. So I'll use that E minor quite a bit. And then the D, again, I'll use 2 different types of D. I'll use this a lot throughout the song. It's a really kind of just colorful version of this D add 4. And essentially what it is if you take a C, and let me show you a C real quick here. If you take the standard C like that, this is just a standard C you would learn, and you slide it up 2 frets. So then it would give you, if you slide it up 2 frets, it's going to give you this shape, slide up 2, but then you're adding this pinky like that. It gives you that D add 4. Now, we'll also use this simplified version of a D add 4, which is utilizing these anchor chords. And there's a reason, I'll show you when we get to the sections, there's a reason for 2 different versions of the chords. And I'll show you why, is to get kind of some of those passing tones and notes going on that are in different sections of the song. So those are the types of D you're going to need. Now, when you get to, again, kind of the next chorus or the next verse 2, if you will, of the song, it's kind of debated whether you think the top of the song is the chorus or the verse, but I would call it the choruses. I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. I am going to use this version of a C. So again, lots of alternate versions, just getting those anchor chords there. And the reason for that is then it allows you to walk down to this G over B like this. So, let me get that C off there for you. So it's going to be a real quick walk down to this G over B, which is another chord you're going to need throughout the song, like that. And then other chords you're going to encounter in this. That G over B is going to be pretty pivotal, excuse me, in some of those walk downs, but you are going to encounter a minor second as well, which is going to look like this, an A minor 7. So again, covered this in other videos, but that's what that A minor 7th is going to look like. You could use a standard A minor, but it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't fit kind of the color of this song, if you will, the context of this song. And I think this is a much better coloring, this A minor 7th with this added pinky on top there. 3rd fret of your high E string, the 1st string. So you're going to need that. Let me make sure I'm not missing any other chords for you. Oh, you do need a 4/6. Again, this is not crazy critical, but if you're wondering what a 4/6 is, if we're playing in G or G shapes, it's going to be your C, which is your 4 chord, and then you're going to be putting a 6 or the E minor note on top, or the E note on top. So you'll notice it's really all you're doing is playing a standard C, but then instead of muting this top string, this E string, low E string like you normally would, you're opening that up, and that gives you your 4/6. So again, real full chord with that E ringing out on top, and you're going to use that when we get to. It's actually when we get to the kind of the later part of the choruses, kind of the repeat choruses. You're going to use that, and then you do need a 5/7. So let me show you that. 5/7 in the key of G is going to be your D over F sharp. So I'm gonna take this off the screen there, and then what I'm gonna typically use this 5/7 here. So basically, what I'm doing here is a D would normally be like that. I'm kind of changing the fingering I'm using, dropping this low E note, so that's ringing open, like you can see in the chord diagram there, and then it frees up this index pointer finger to go up to this F sharp note here. And then I am not playing this open A here. As you can see, there's an X there on the A string. I'm essentially using this fleshy part here of my index finger to mute that A string. And it just gives it a little more clarity rather than the A note ringing out. It's not horrible letting the A note ring out because it is technically in that chord. You know, the A is in there, but it just gives it a little more clarity if you mute that A and play your D over F sharp like that. Occasionally I will, if I'm using those anchor shapes, like the E minor particularly, sometimes I'll just kind of do a modified version, and essentially I'm playing the same fingering that you see on the screen there, the chord diagram, but I'm just switching my ring finger to the 3rd fret of the B string, and then that allows me to put that pinky on the bottom and keep that anchor shape. So I don't have that represented on the chord diagram there, but sometimes I'll play that D over F sharp or that 5/7 like that. And by the way, if you're wondering what I'm referencing when I talk about 5/7, you know, it's essentially a number system. I do have a free sheet for you available for that. If you go to numbersystem.influentialworship.com, I'll link that in the description below as well when the stream's finished processing. There's a free number chart for you, kind of a cheat sheet of the number system that I'd love to get into your hands. So again, I'll drop that in the description. But let's continue on. I believe that is all the chord shapes that you need. I don't believe I'm leaving anything out. There's a little like color chord you could do with your C. So there's a C major 7 throughout the song, which you could do like this. Again, it's not critical for you to play this, but it really does add some color at the end of the refrains. You can see, basically all you're doing there, if we take a standard C and we drop this index finger off, so this guy here, we drop the index finger, the pointer finger off, we literally lift that up and leave it an open B ringing out, that gives you that C major 7 sound. So that would be the only other kind of variation of chord that you would need, is that C major 7, and that covers all the chords for the song. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through section by section. Now, when we do this, I'm not going to put up diagrams on the screen because, again, I'm doing this live, so I can't put those diagrams up on the screen while showing you kind of each section of the song. But let's just go section by section and walk through the song. So the intro starts with that G shape that I showed you right at the very beginning, like that. And again, you're going to get that 6/8 pattern going. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. And again, I'm kind of swinging it like we talked about. So it goes 2 bars of that, G. Now again, you don't have to do this little melody kind of hint, but if you want to do that, that's what we briefly looked at. You're going open B, and then you're going 2nd fret of your G string, back to the open B, and then first fret of your B string to get that suspended. So, sorry. It's going to sound like that. And obviously you don't want to individually do the notes like that. You want to put it in the context of the strumming. So again, it's going to sound like this. again, you're kind of just hinting at it. Back to the G, so the intro is going to do this twice. And then into the verse. So let's look at the verse now. Now again, this is debated. So technically this song, it's kind of an interesting structure. It doesn't technically have verses if you count the Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand as the choruses. But we're going to roll with them being the verses, and then kind of roll with the he won't being the refrain. So whether you call it a chorus or verse, this is kind of the main sections of the song, and there is a bunch of different variations of this. So we're going to roll with this. So when we say the verse, we're talking about the top of the song, Christ is my firm foundation. So here we go. That's going to look like this. Christ is my firm foundation. So this G, the rock on, so the E minor 7, to which I stand, to that D, add 4, when everything around me shaken. Now, a little trick here. This is starting with your G sus chord. So you're starting with that there. And then, if you have that starting there, you can kind of, again, do a little hint of the melody there. So it's kind of a reverse. Now you're starting with the first fret there on the B string. You're starting with that down, and you're lifting it off. Open B, and then you're going to that A note again, which is the second fret of the G string, and then you're opening it up to the open G string, so like that. And it's kind of a neat little just hint at the top there. When everything around me shaken, follows the melody, around me shaken. And then it goes, I've, back to the E minor 7, never been more glad. Now, the next verse, or kind of the second half of the verse, if you want to look at it that way, that I put my face. So this is where we switch to this C add 2. And let me actually see if I can put these up for you here. I'm going to put up these diagrams for you just to give you a reference point. So we're going to go back to that now, that version of that C, so that we can get to that G over B, which is just one fret down. And again, I'm not going to put the diagrams up here. You can kind of refer back to the chords that we need for the song just to get those under your belt. I want to make this efficient for you here. So we're going to go, that I put my faith in Jesus, G over B, because he's E. So here's the E minor 7, but now we're using the anchor that you can see there. He's never let me down. And then I'm using that D add 4 with, again, that anchor position. And again, that's to get those G over B. So anytime there's a G over B, I'm kind of switching to that anchor. He's faithful through generations. Back to the C, G over B. So why would he fail? D. And now on the D, the strumming kind of builds with it. Why would he fail now? And then a kind of a choke or a pause. So why would he fail now? He won't. And then you kind of just have this big strum, down strum on the turnaround of the song with the he won't. So let me demonstrate kind of that those two verses or choruses together here. So it goes, Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand, when everything around me is shaking. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, yes, 'cause he's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. Now this is the turnaround, the interludes of the song, if you will. So let's cover that, just the interludes of the song, or the turnarounds. And so real simple here, the first time around, at least it's real simple. It's kind of going back to the intro. So he won't, back to that G, he won't, and then just that G sus. And then we go to the next set of verses. Again, now it is going to change. And so if we go back to, again, the verses or choruses, whatever you want to call them, now we're talking about the lyric where he goes, I've still got joy in chaos. So it's going to be somewhat similar, but we were introducing some of these walk downs. So let me cover that. He goes, I've still got joy in chaos. So this is the same, the G. I've got peace that makes no sense. I won't be. Now I'm going to switch it to the G, the C add 2 with the anchor. And the reason for that is there's a real quick walk down here of chords that happens. So it follows the lyric going under, and there's a big old bass walk down, and it goes like this, going under. So what that is, if I slow it down, is the C add 2 to the G over B to the A minor 7, back to that G, but it's real quick changes. It's going under. So you're doing a quick change right with those syllables of the lyrics. So it's gonna go going under. C, G over B, A minor 7, G. I'm not held by my, and then back to normal strength, cause I've built my. Now the next set of verses or choruses, chorus 4 or verse 4 if you want to look at it that way, because I've built my life on Jesus. This is where you need that C over E, because I've built my life, C over E, on Jesus. G over B, he's never, and then now's another kind of like little walk up thing. This is where you have your 5 over 7. He's never let me down. Now there's a variety of ways you could play this. You could play the he's never, and then you could go, let me down. Or you could play the anchor D, whichever one's kind of simpler for you. So you could go, he's never let, so he's never let me down. You could do it that way, where you're just keeping the anchors. So he's never let me, even just that anchor G down. Or you could play those shapes we looked at. He's never let me down. You could play around with those. Obviously, they have some different color to them, but play around with whatever switch happens there that is most comfortable for you. And then it goes back to he's faithful in every season. So this part's the same. G over B. So why would he fail now? He won't. And then back into the refrain or the interlude again. So again, let's look at the interlude too, because this is a little bit different now. When we go to the second set of interludes, it's going to go like this. He won't. He won't fail. Yeah, E minor 7, D to the C. He won't fail. So now a little bit tricky again. So it's going to go, he won't, the G to the G sus. He won't, G sus. He won't, E minor 7, D to the C. You could throw in the C major 7 here, however you want to finger it. So you could throw that in. So it goes, just the second part there is, he won't fail, D to the C major 7, he won't fail. So another set of quick changes. So what we're doing there, if we slow that down on that second he won't fail, is it looks like this. E minor 7 to the D to the G to the G over B to the C major 7. So to the, once again, E minor 7 to the D to the G to the G over B to the C. Or, again, at the end, feel free to throw the C major 7 in as well. So that's quick changes as well. He won't fail. So you'll notice it's kind of a pattern throughout the song. There's these quick changes that happen. Bum, 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 bum. And obviously, rhythm-wise, you're accenting those, right? You kind of bum, 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 bum. E minor 7, D, G, G over B, C. Again, real quick changes. So just, that might take some time to kind of get under your belt. A little more of an advanced thing, right? You want to obviously be super comfortable with changing, with those chord changes, just changing quickly like that. So if you need to slow it down, slow it down. You know what, too? It does work. If you just need a hang on the E minor 7, he won't fail. You could kind of do that. He won't, let the bass player kind of do those walks. You could go, he won't fail. And just land on that C. You could totally do that as well and kind of just simplify it for yourself. I wouldn't try to play through it because that'll probably clash, but you could kind of just let it hang. He won't fail. And then land on that C kind of with your bass player. That would work as well. Now, the second set of refrains, that refrain in the recording of the song repeats, and then they go to the top, kind of the top of the song. So I'm not going to go back through that, but when you get to the second set of refrains after you've kind of gone back to the top of the song and run the verses or choruses again, it's going to go to the same refrain. It's going to be exactly what we just looked at, the same walk downs, but you're going to land on that C and kind of let it hang for 2 measures. So he won't fail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then the interlude. Now this is the interlude before the bridge. So let's look at that. So once again, interlude before the bridge. Now this is going to be probably be the most simple part of the song, at least this part of it, is it's going to hang on the C for 1 measure, then the D for 1 measure, G over B, E minor 7, D, C, D, G over B, E minor 7, D. So those are pretty simple changes that happen. Now you could break down to a little finger picking here for the interlude, and it's real pretty. You could bring in some of that melody of the bridge. So you could break down to something like this. You could even bring in more of the melody. You'd have to change the picking pattern for, your fingering pattern for this, but you could do something like this. So you could get that. Sorry. So you'd land on the E minor. I'm sorry. So it'd be ba 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 da, and then your D. So again, a little bit more of an advanced thing. You don't have to bring that in, but if you're playing by yourself or with a smaller team, it could be real nice to bring that in. All I'm doing there is I've changed the fingering that I'm using for the G over B, and I'm using I'm dropping the anchor. You'll note there I'm putting my pinky on fret 3 of the B string. And that allows me to default back to this index finger, pointer finger being on fret 1, the first fret of the B string, so the second string up, and that's what gives you that melody. So you go the 3rd fret, back to the 1st fret, and then open. And then there's a number of ways you could do the fingering of it, but then you're going, again, 2nd fret of the G string, so 1 more string up, and then E minor to the D. That's what gives you that melody. Sorry. There we go. So you really want to get that open note. Ba, 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 ba. E minor, D. So if you want to get a little more technical with the interlude or the bridges, you could bring that little picking thing in and kind of bring that melody in. Or you could just keep the strumming super simple like I did at first. G over B, E minor 7 to the D. And we're going to cover the bridge, but essentially that's the first part of the bridge is essentially what we just did for the interlude. So same thing, C, wind blew D, but my house, G over B, was built on you. So let me sing it. And I'm safe with you. I'm gonna make it E minor 7 through. Rain came, wind blew, but my house was built. Now, strumming wise, you'll notice this is where you kind of bring that downs in. I'm safe, down, 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 down. I'm gonna make it through. And then the tag essentially just tags the bridge there. Yeah, I'm gonna make it through D, 'cause I'm standing strong on you. Yeah, I'm gonna make it through, 'cause my house was built on you. Christ is my firm found. Now we're going into the last set of choruses or verses, however you want to look at it. And once again, the words are the same, but once again, the progression does change a little bit. So let's look at this. The back half. And this is kind of the climax of the song, right? It goes, Christ is my firm found. So back to this G. Now we're going to bring a 2 minor in, the A minor 7. So Christ is my firm foundation. A minor 7, E minor 7, which the D. And again, you can play around with either doing the shapes like this, the rock on which, that open, a little more open E minor 7 with that version of the D. Or you could play those anchor shapes, the rock on which I stand when everything around me shaking. So now, again, a different walk down that's happening. So this is kind of what makes this song a little bit complicated for beginners. It's a little more intermediate, but when you get to this, when everything around me shaken, again, the chords are changing here and it's doing this walk down thing, but it's not doing the typical walk down we did at first earlier in the song. It's a little bit different. So it's going, when everything C add 2, so it's a C add 2, G over B, the A minor 7, G, back to the A minor 7. So when everything around me shaking, and you're landing on this A minor 7. When everything around me shaking, I've never been more glad. And then you're landing on kind of the normal back half of the verse there. So once again, if I slow that down, when everything C add 2, G over B, A minor 7, G, landing on the A minor 7. That's kind of the unique part of this chorus, or the verse here in the back half of the song, is you're landing on that A minor 7. And it just gives a kind of a, again, a note of interest and a unique part of the changes of the song, kind of makes it interesting. And then the back half is essentially the same. So then you go, I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause he's never let me down. We covered that before, that part. Never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would he fail now? He won't. And then you're getting back into, again, these refrains that we've covered already in the earlier parts of the song. Those refrains are going to be the same changes. The only other really like somewhat unique thing that's happening, at least in the studio version of the song, is a little bit different on the live version of the song, is the outro, which is essentially the refrain, that he won't fail, and it has those walk downs, kind of slows down at the end. So it goes, he won't, to the G suspended, he won't fail, he won't fail. So same changes, but it just kind of slows down like that. No, he won't, and then it kind of lands the ending of the song, obviously on the G, or on the 1 of the song. And so, friends, hopefully that's helpful. Little, obviously trickier parts of this song, covering kind of those walk downs and changes. Hopefully it's been helpful to kind of walk through those. Again, the best thing I would say in learning this song is to get those chord shapes under your belt. So if you need to pause the video, like, get real comfortable with those changes and the different variations that you might use throughout the song, and then just slow it down. Like, for example, learning the When Everything Around Me is Shaken that we just looked at. You could really just slow it down. When everything around me is shaken. So do it as slow as you need to go to be comfortable with and clean with those changes, and then slowly bring the song up to tempo would be the best piece of advice I have for learning those changes and learning the song. Well, hope this has been helpful. Hey, let me know down in the comments what songs you need help with. I would love to make not just tutorial videos when I do, the tutorial videos like this, not just songs that I enjoy, but songs that actually will be helpful for people to learn. So drop a comment, let me know what songs you need help with and songs you would love resources for, and I would love to create those videos. And then worship leaders, before you go, I would love to get a free gift into your hands. I've put together a guide, if you head over to influentialworship.com, that you could just get 6 practices that if you implement this week will help you gain a greater sense of confidence in your worship leading. Would love to get that into your hands. It's free to you. So just head over to influentialworship.com, and that'll come straight to your inbox, as well as also just weekly tips. And when I release these videos, we'll send those to you and just let you know helpful resources that are coming your way for either you as a worship leader or your teams. So with that, friend, I will see you in the next video. God bless you.